Hey folks, welcome back to their Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today my very special guest.
Hello, I'm Becca.
From?
Good Time Society is my channel.
Indeed. So good to have you in another Dice Tower preview, Becca.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
it's great
awesome.
to be here.
Well, today we're taking a look at Mythic Mischief.
Yes, by Ivy Studio, and we happen to be in the studio of Ivy Studio.
In the actual library.
Yes.
Right?
It's a real library. It has 4 walls and everything.
Everything. Like books, too.
Yeah, all along.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't
You
see.
can't see it, but it's
a
like
whole library.
Racks and racks of them.
Mythic Mischief is from Ivy Studio. It plays with 1 to 4 players in 45 to 90 minutes, and it's for ages 14 up. Within the hallowed halls of Mythic Manor is a repository of tomes. While not off limits per se, these tomes have been deemed either too valuable or too dangerous to be handled without supervision from a teacher.
However, recently, students have been circumnavigating each restriction, so a new teacher has been put in charge of the tomes. The students not so lovingly referred to this teacher as the Tomekeeper. The seriousness with which the Tomekeeper executes their duties has led to a new competition among the students. Who can hide in the repository of tomes without getting caught?
The Tomekeeper is making their rounds in the School Library, and a copy of the returned tomes list has fallen into the students' possession. They know exactly where the tomes need to be placed and in which order. The only thing they can change is the path the Tomekeeper will take to get there. It's the perfect chance for the students of Mythic Manor to finally prove once and for all who is best in class.
So, let the games begin. So, tell us a little bit more about the game.
Oh my goodness, I would love to. Okay, so it's asymmetrical moving of the path. So sort of not exactly programming, but taking elements of that. So you'll know the path of the Tomekeeper. They're always trying to go to objective number 1, then 2, then 3. And your job is to throw the opposing factions in front of the Tomekeeper so they get kicked out of the library.
Indeed. And it's just that simple, really. Yeah.
That's it.
Now, we played multiple games of this, right?
You could say that, yeah.
And you destroyed me in our first game.
Thank you.
Yeah. As I had expected would happen.
Well, I'm a big fan of the Frankenstein Monsters faction.
Yeah, well,
because I was a real master of throwing you
across the map. It was amazing. But the thing is there's so many different ways to play this. Like the game we just played, Blitz mode.
It's a sensitive subject for me
It is,
right
I
now.
know. Because what happened in that one?
Okay, you won handily along with Austin because Blitz mode is a team player mode, and all you're trying to do is you're not regenerating on your turn as you do otherwise. It's just one and done. Once you're off the board, you're off. And I didn't do so well because with only 2 minutes on the clock per joint turn, I just froze my first turn. I couldn't make any decisions. I want that tome. 45 seconds?
I know, it's just
a 5 and a blank. That's a very good sign. Mark, you're on fire today
I'm
on
fire
these
with
rolls.
the dice.
Yeah.
So
only on games where the dice don't matter.
I know, right?
But it would be all I do, which is scary.
Freeze them in place?
No.
That's great. That's a great move.
Pull your super.
Hold on, you can't trance through a bookcase?
They don't die. The
I'm sorry, they go to detention or something.
That is
Sorry,
not
get
this
kicked
game.
out of the
Yes.
library.
Get kicked out of the library.
It's not me, it's my back. So, I have a distract and I have an intimidate to move the neighbor. So I can move the neighbor here. I can distract 1, and then 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah. Do a run across them and get blood quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
That was
me.
incredible.
Good job. 6.
5 seconds.
5. We're okay.
Yeah, we're okay. It was awesome though, right? I love
You were awesome. Yes.
I love the fast play of it. It really felt like you're racing to get to the finish line. I
Yeah.
love that feel.
I love that I was so right on that it would not be my format.
It was just a ton of fun. Now, that was one team mode, but we did another team game, you and I, against Ivy Studio themselves, Zach and Austin. And that was a little more balanced because we had time to actually strategize and plan. It was a very close game, but they still beat us.
But you and I, one, make excellent teammates.
Yes.
Two, it was our second playthrough.
Second playthrough.
And three, we were playing against the game creators, play
We were.
testers that have played probably hundreds of times.
300 times at least.
So our final score being 8-10, I felt
pretty good. We were really down to the wire that last potentially couple different ways for it to go. But the basics here is that you have your faction, right? And there's so many different types. You've got the witches, the vampires, zombies, monsters, trolls, and wizards.
Trolls and witches are expansions.
Yes, they are. And there's all kinds of possibilities with how you combine these in teams with the other players and so forth. And as you move through the game, you're going to be moving in this library trying to avoid the ultimate baddie of these students, which is the Tomekeeper. And as he moves across the map, right, you're going to be trying to manipulate your faction against your opponent to move them in front of his path so he takes them and removes them from the library physically.
Yes.
Right.
I like that. Of course, every player has a basic move, or rather than players, they're called mythics.
Yes.
The students of Mythic Manor. And each player has an ability that allows them to move other players, which are all completely different, hence the asymmetry. And I really like finding the best way to use that power and manipulate. And Frankenstein monsters throwing is just still my favorite.
It was really cool. So of all the factions, that's your favorite, the monsters?
I don't know. I haven't played them all, but
Sure.
I think that just in terms of actual counting on the board, so far it seems like throw gets you the most move spaces. Like
It's pretty
potentially, you can usually only move orthogonally, but you could throw diagonally.
Right.
So if you're on one corner and I flip you to the other corner, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces
Yeah.
I had you cover.
Sure.
So you thought you were so far away from that Tomekeeper,
But not really.
nah.
Yeah, well, I had a similar experience with the vampires, right? Because they can lure people towards them.
I always knew you were a vampire.
Yes, indeed. And as you progress through the game, you go into this after lunch mode, right? So, and then they have some more special abilities and so forth that you can manipulate and use. But especially with the vampires, they get thirsty and they start to accumulate blood as they move through the different players on the board. And when you do, you get to boost your powers. And again, you're using these dice just to represent your powers and how many times you can use them and how effective they can be.
Yeah, I would say that the dice are a really effective choice here because they've got a spin down element and you can just flip them to the next lowest number, which is a really easy way to keep track. So you're not like, oh wait, how many did I move so far?
Right.
Because you can split up your moves so much. And as you were saying, the after lunch special is so great. You also have an additional special which costs more to use, but you have access to in the beginning part of the game and the after lunch part of the game.
Yep.
And I really like, of course, most games become more complex as you're building your engine, as you're leveling up different abilities. But I really like that the after lunch just ramps things to the next level because you can do it over and over, and it's a pretty powerful ability for all the factions.
And you can upgrade your character throughout the game because you collect tomes to give you boosts in all your abilities. And I mean, everybody has kind of the basic thing, but they all do different things. Like everybody's moving, right? You have that. But then you have your next different types of powers related to the different types of factions and so forth in the game. And they do a lot of neat things. Like I said, the vampires will pull people towards them. But you are tossing, it's so great.
Here's
So
the
many
thing, on
things.
my first playthrough, I was not at all precious with my special ability, which is one and done. It's taken from the board and you actually have to go find another tome on the board to refill it, versus leveling up one of the other 4 abilities has more of a reusability. So looking back, it's like, hold on, but that's less of a long-term effect. But what I was doing was just refilling it and using it every single turn, and I got way ahead doing that, so I don't regret it.
That was awesome. Yeah, those special abilities, especially if you move them or use them right away, they can really change the flow of the game. And some of them, like the trolls, I believe, right, remove the bookcases, destroy them, and so forth. So you can really change up the path. And that's really a key part, I believe, is changing the path of the Tomekeeper to maneuver them in front of your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. And there's little tricks to pull the Tomekeeper one way, pull an opponent one way, to get into his path. But really, one of the coolest things is to completely change the route that he must take because you've moved the bookshelves to block him in.
So cool.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, obviously, changing up the map, how it can be ever evolving and every game can be different, really adds a lot to this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played 2 factions so far, so I need to play all of them.
Same.
I want to know all the things.
I'm definitely excited to see what the expansions are going to be down the road too, that they allude to here, like ghosts and so forth. So I hope it funds well and we can get all of those neat factions into the game.
Yeah, well, I hope it funds because it does fun.
Yes, of course.
Also, we should just say that the flavor is charming and adorable.
I love the flavor.
I read every bio of each character in each faction because they're just very cleverly written, and I was having a lot of fun. And like, oh well, did you know that like Frazzle over here, her sister is one of the witches, but she kind of got kicked out. And
well, and what is it, Maven, the ultimate wizard, or something like that?
Voted himself vice president 3 times.
3 times.
The artwork is really beautiful. I love that 3-dimensional aspect of it.
And just the table presence alone with the miniatures and everything on the board, you might think, oh, this is just an abstract. No, it's way more than just an abstract game of that type. So I love the look and how you manipulate everything on the board.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think it's safe to say we enjoy Mythic Mischief.
We do.
Yeah.
Hey folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now with that said, I think this game has a lot of fantastic character to it, and the different factions and how they play really add so much replayability. What do you think?
I am chomping at the bit, like the zombie faction might, to play all of them, because that's what an asymmetrical game does.
Totally
is it makes
true.
you want to try everything and figure out which one fits your game style the most.
Right, and also multiple times with the same faction trying different things and so forth. So really adds a lot of gameplay for sure. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from us. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.